The year is 1997. Game studio Running with Scissors has just released their first game into the public. This game is named Postal, and it contributed to the nearly 3-decade-long topic of whether or not content in video games should be regulated.
Over the decades that this series has been around, it's amassed a cult following and received high praise for most games in the series. Most.
Extreme violence, whether it be sadistic or satirical, sexual themes and outright nudity, drug abuse, offensive humor regarding race and religion, Gary Coleman. The list goes on.
Knowing this, I thought it'd be fun to go revisit these games for old time's sake and see how well they've held up.
So let's not waste any more time and jump directly into the world of Postal, starting with Running with Scissors' debut game Postal hit the shelves on November 14th, 1997, and oh my god, it definitely feels like a developer's first game. The game starts out with our protagonist outside of his house in the midst of a mental breakdown. Our character, whose canon name is, I kid you not, the Postal Dude, had his house repossessed and now he believes the government is out to get him. So what logical action does he take after hearing this news? Does he A, pay his taxes like a reasonable citizen? B, file a civil lawsuit against the realtors for falsely repossessing his home? Or C, mass genocide?
Does he pay his taxes?
Wrong! He goes on a genocidal rampage and slaughters everyone he deems to be against him. The core gameplay of Postal is simple and to the point, but is also the whole reason the game was deemed controversial in the first place. You advance through each level by massacring a percentage of hostiles. You don't have to kill everyone, necessarily. It's completely up to the player's decision, and it especially doesn't help that they put this itty-bitty little population counter in the top corner either.
Any other deaths are just you. That population counter doesn't mean shit when you can just go beat everybody to death on the road and mow through them with an auto shotgun.
What makes this gameplay choice stick out anymore is how after you murder every citizen in a level, the game lets you freely explore the level and see the carnage that you caused, leaving the impact that you and your actions caused on display for you to reflect on. Or you can just go to the next level like a normal person, I don't know. Not to mention that the game can be brutal at times. Literally 5 minutes into my first playthrough, I was comboed like a fox man in Smash Bros. To compensate for the difficulty, there are several different types of weapons for you to choose from, like a shotgun, a literal bazooka, Molotovs and grenades, and even the auto shotgun. The game takes place across a dozen or so stages like your house, a truck stop, a city, a theme park, a school, a military base.
A school? Yeah, you heard that right. A school. Oh my god, I gotta blink. Good lord.
Thankfully you can't actually kill the kids, God forbid, but this is another defining reason as to why the game was deemed controversial.
And this controversy was actually the entire reason that this ending was removed in the game's remake, which I'll cover later. Postal was released in 1997, as stated before, and received pretty good reviews. From players. From critics, no, they hated that you can shoot the people in the head with the gun and it go blood everywhere. I mean, you've seen the game. Do you really think this is deserving of a 56 on Metacritic? Because I think it deserves a 57. I mean, once you get used to the gameplay and the difficulty, I'd have to say no. This game is really underrated. After Postal hit the shelves in 1997, there really wasn't any new developments for the series for a while. I actually forgot what year Postal 2 came out, hold on. Until the year 2003 came along.
Postal 2, oh my god, where do I even begin? The arguably more controversial sequel to the already controversial Postal.
Running with Scissors decided to change the approach for how Postal 2 would be played compared to Postal 1. First of all, it's in 3D instead of 2D now, and instead of the pointless violence, now there's pointless comedic violence. Instead of a constant body count being displayed in the top corner of your screen. Now, how did that get there? Postal 2 actually requires you to complete a set of chores on a 5-day basis.
Go to the store and buy milk, get petition signatures, get a Christmas tree, piss on dad, every American's average shopping list. Postal 2 is a first-person shooter adventure game, which strays away from its predecessor, but this was for the best, to be honest. As mentioned before, you complete chores on a 5-day basis, but the chores end up sending you across the entire map. Like on Monday, for instance, where you have to go get milk from the Lucky Ganesh, pick up your check from Running with Scissors, where Postal Dude works, and deposit that check into the bank. These all seem like monotonous tasks, but comedic elements and gameplay mechanics manage to make these chores fun.
People are dying. What are you doing in here?
I'll go check.
In Postal 1, you had a required kill objective that you had to reach in order to advance to the next level. But in Postal 2, the game is as violent as you are. It says it right on the box. I don't own the game. Imagine I'm actually pointing at something.
Just like the last game, you can collect an assortment of weapons to your disposal, but actually selecting the weapons can be a pain sometimes. Most missions will end up having you fight a ton of people, so stock up on guns unless you're going for a pacifist one, which pacifist 1? I'm going on a 1. I'm going pacifist 1. Under 2.
Hey kid, do you want a wiener in your mouth?
I wouldn't really recommend a pacifist run though, unless you're going for the challenge, because blasting off random civilian tents is way more enjoyable than it should be.
This gameplay loop of running around the map and completing miscellaneous chores runs out through the whole game, and the tasks only get harder as you go on, which I really like. Sure, it can get a little repetitive with the tasks that you have to do, and some are a little drawn out, but it's a really good time.
The humor in this game is immaculate. My favorite moment is definitely when you go to the church to confess your sins, only for Al-Qaeda to arrive. Comedy gold. At the end of every day, you return home to your nagging wife, the bitch, and start the next day after a good night's rest.
So, why was this game... Oh, shit. So why was this game deemed controversial in the first place? And why was it banned in, like, Australia, Germany, Sweden? Oh. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Here's the real question, though. Is the game controversial? Yeah, of course it is, but does that matter? No. The game came out 20 years ago. I mean, sure, it hasn't aged the best, but if you want to pour 7 or 8 hours into just mindlessly running around beating the crap out of people, then go for it. It's your game. Violent as you are. It is... Violent as you are, it is. Due to the sheer attention and popularity that Postal 2 brought to Running with Scissors, in 2005 they thought it'd be a really good idea to release some DLC for the game. They couldn't have screwed it up this badly, could they?
After the praise Postal 2 received, Running with Scissors released an expansion pack for the base game called Apocalypse Weekend, which adds the days Saturday and Sunday as playable levels.
Now, you're probably expecting to, you know, be running around in Paradise again and just doing a bunch of mindless chores and beating the crap out of old people. No, you're in a brand new linear town, and there's no player choice.
The game starts out with a 144p rendered cutscene instead of the traditional in-game cutscene. You wake up in the hospital after the incident occurs at the ending of Postal 2. And instead of resting and recovering from your wounds, you run around the hospital causing chaos and attempt to get money. As you walk through the hospital, your head wound begins to act up, and the world becomes like a Silent Hill-styled horror game where zombified Gary Colemans try to kill you with projectiles. After escaping the hospital, you get put into a brand new town area outside of Paradise, and Postal Dude gets the munchies. Luckily, you find a Chinese restaurant where a zombie outbreak starts. This is all over the place.
I mean, they aren't just zombies, though. They're...
Oh shit, mad cow Tourette's zombies.
You can't make this up, man, I swear.
This mission shows where my problems are with this expansion, though. In order to progress the story any further, you have to tediously bash in 20 zombie heads with a baseball bat. They randomly spawn in all around the restaurant, some even spawning in on the roof. In order to get all 20, you have to loop around the restaurant 2 or 3 times because the game can't even handle loading in more than 20 zombies at once in one area.
And if that wasn't enough brainless skull bashing for you, then how would you like to do it again?
Then bashing in 21 cow skulls with a hammer across a bare bones linear path may tickle your fancy. What makes this feel even stranger is that there's no fluid continuity with anything in this expansion either. Your choices don't matter as you have to complete the kill objectives to progress, and there's little to no player choice in what order you can accomplish these tasks. In the base game, you can cash the check before you even received it, but in Apocalypse Weekend, a basic linear path to the end of each day.
Not to mention that the game just drags out for way too long compared to the original game. I mean, sure, it's only Saturday and Sunday, but you didn't have to put 5 days worth of content packed into 2 days. It doesn't work.
It's clear that Running with Scissors was overly ambitious with this as well, because directly after the cow mission, this happens.
Well done, son. You did so well, I'm promoting you to Chief Pigeon Relocation Engineer. Congratulations. Here's your rocket launcher. Don't abuse it now.
Time to relocate some pigeons.
I told you no. What the hell you think this is? Friggin' bullshit. What do you got, Steve? Hold on. What do
Proposal
you got?
for the pigeon mission.
Proposal for the pigeon mission? We ain't got no budget for pigeon missions. The fuck, are you kidding me?
Vince, the kids. Gotta think of the kids.
Look at the quality of this video. You want enough? Hold on, I said. Who is this? Get on f***ing line. You want money too? You too.
Remnants of the mission are even seen in the loading directly after this cutscene, where Postal Dude holds a missile launcher that, to my knowledge, has never been seen anywhere else in this game.
I mean, it's funny, don't get me wrong, but I can't tell if it's a joke or not.
Sunday isn't that better either. You start at Vince's house, and you have to bash in 50 zombie heads with the baseball bat.
What?
And if that mindless slog of pointless killing wasn't enough for you, directly afterwards you need to kill 10 elephants in a zoo.
What's the point? None of this makes sense. I mean, the gameplay loop is completely thrown off by these random, like, genocidal attacks that you have to do on a bunch of different things, like zombies, cows, and now elephants. And what's next? You're gonna throw me in hell? Oh, you're gonna throw me in hell, aren't you?
Thankfully, the game picks up a bit towards the end, though, as you invade Al-Qaeda's headquarters and get arrested by the US military. No, I am not joking. You break out of federal prison and steal the weapon of mass destruction. Yep, stealing a literal nuke. I wonder what happens when you shoot. After grabbing the weapon, however, you get transported to this hell section, and honestly, it's my favorite part of the game. It's aesthetically pleasing, and it's genuinely a fun section. And voila, the final level, this tedious to cross abnormally long bridge.
I know I just mentioned the monotonous killing tasks, but my main issue with the game is the pacing and the relatability of the main character.
In Postal 2, you play as a relatively average person completing everyday chores. Sure, it gets wackier towards the end, but as you play, you feel more like you are the Postal Dude, not just in playing a character.
All feeling of that was lost in this expansion, and there's no getting him back. He's already down the road. He's on his way now. You can't go get him. He's got his little thing over the shoulder with the bag and all of his little food in there. I mean, like, he's got his SpaghettiOs. Why do I have this?
After crossing the bridge, your head wound hits you one last time as you're transported to a battlefield of sorts. And as the camera turns around you, Postal Dude is faced with
Kosher mad cow zombie, god of hellfire! All bow down and worship my ass cock!
As funny as this character design is, the boss fight as a whole is the lowest point in the game, in my opinion. It is tedious to drain Mike J's health, as he summons floating Gary Coleman heads as a barrier, and you have to shoot all of them to drop said barrier. Genuinely, the best way of going about this fight is just to spam explosives and avoid the zombies he summons. And to top it all off, when you do eventually kill Mike J, the game just cuts to this.
That's it, yeah. The game's done. There's no fanfare, no celebration, not even like a rendered cutscene. It plays a pre-rendered cutscene just like the beginning of the game. It's a scrambled mess of mixed potential, and I honestly wish that they did so much different because this had a lot of potential. It's not fun though. Hey, speaking of fun, I haven't looked in this corner for a while. Oh no. Oh no!
Postal 3. Oh god. Now before I say anything bad about the game, this game was in fact developed by Russian studios Akela and Trash Masters, whose logo I can't even show in the video because my channel will go poof. Bye-bye.
Okay, now that that's out of the way, this game is terrible.
The game starts you off on the same bridge from Apocalypse Weekend, and right off the bat, this game is terrible to control. Good start. Of all the music they could have chose for this level, man, why this song? You are running on a post-apocalyptic bridge being shot at by, like, zombies and soldiers, and it's just playing this rinky-dink-ass song in the back. As for the actual tutorial, the game holds your hand the whole damn way. There's no point in making this grueling of a tutorial when you just have to put HUD instructions or something out of the way.
It doesn't help that my game would consistently crash every time I threw a projectile. A grenade, literally anything you need to throw. I don't remember anything from this game because it was that miserable.
It wasn't just in the tutorial either, it was with every single projectile. It's probably because I... But that doesn't change the fact that I had to download a 100% save file to progress. After loading the 100% save file and skipping to the next level called Porn World, you run around Luigi's mansion collecting ectoplasm samples for EGAD. Don't believe me? Look, there's one now. I feel like if I talk about the actual gameplay at all, I'll get demonetized, so I'll just skip to the next level. And now we're collecting HIV-infected cats.
Lucky for me, the trainee didn't have any aptitude.
This game's level themes are the definition of throwing something at a wall until it sticks, because that's all the developers seem to do for this entire game. And half the times the things that they added didn't even stick!
Hey, don't get me wrong, I love raunchy, stupid humor. It's just none of these jokes are funny. They don't land in the way that the developers intend them to do. I skipped through a bunch of the levels just to get a general scope of the gameplay, and consistently one of three things happen. You either complete a monotonous task, then get attacked by protesters, get into a comically loud shootout, or find yourself running around beating up the random civilians of Catharsis. 9 times out of 10, my game would just crash too. I played through the game before the patches of October 2023, which fixed these issues, but that doesn't give me a reason to come back and play the game any further.
All of that being said, this game has a deserved, terrible online reputation. It is the lowest rated game out of the series on Steam, and was even removed from Steam for several years until October of 2023.
Hey, this is Sour. I had a joke written here in an outro segment, but the audio got corrupted, so I'm just gonna go and move on to the next game. Yeah.
Paradise Lost is what Postal 3 should have been. This was released as paid DLC for Postal 2 on April 14th, 2015, and acts as the sequel to Postal 2, completely retconning Postal 3 in every way possible. This game takes place back at Postal Dude's hometown, Paradise, but 11 years later, in the midst of a nuclear fallout.
The game plays almost identically to how Postal 2 played. You have chores on each day of the week, except for Saturday and Sunday, because we don't do that anymore here, and you have a list of chores that you have to complete on each day. However, the game's more story-driven now. It's actually really cool.
Postal Dude's dog companion, Champ, goes missing in Paradise, and while asking the civilians about the whereabouts of Champ, everyone freaks out like they're being presented with a photo of the god of the underworld. After learning about the whereabouts of the wise man, you enter the restaurant in search of food, and in classic Postal fashion, you are presented with a choice. Either wait in line for food and pay for it, or steal it and be at risk of being shot. After stealing your food, you then head to the animal shelter in search of Champ, then set all of the animals free, including shit-throwing mind-controlled monkeys and a full-on elephant. Then earn an achievement called Ape Gape. Upon returning to the former Running with Scissors headquarters, you meet with Crotchy, the Wise Wang, the infinite source of wisdom and shit.
You then learn that Champ has been transformed into the legendary beast El Poro Loco.
Tuesday starts you at Vince's church and assigns tasks for you to do across the map. The gameplay loop is repetitive as Postal 2's, but introduces new challenges to overcome with various hilarious results. My main takeaway from Paradise Lost, however, is the visual overhaul. The new dystopian setting really helps cement the idea that this is a fresh new take on Postal 2. Not to mention that the brand new areas exclusive to this expansion really add to the experience. Anyways, back to Tuesday. Wait in line for toilet paper or kill everyone and take it for yourself. Donate your weapons to the arcade owners who will install your game, or kill him and take the weapons and install it for yourself. Watch a man jerk off or shoot him in the head. The only chore you don't seem to have a choice in on Tuesday is destroying a bunch of computers at a competitor game developer's office. Upon returning to the church, zombies break in before Vince can tell you where to find Champ.
Vince? Oh, great. Now my day is complete.
Nothing personal, man.
After escaping the church, you then run through the cemetery, where a familiar face returns. On Wednesday, Mike J tasks you with collecting donations, getting a breast pump, and collecting AC parts. Sounds easy enough, although I did get distracted on the way. To acquire the breast pump, you head to the farm and milk the cows for around 5 minutes. It's tedious, yeah, but it's better than bashing their skulls in. After collecting both of the AC parts, you are invited to Mike J's wedding, where you learn that your ex-wife, the bitch, is the bride. After her reveal, you're kicked directly into a boss fight with her? After setting the bitch on fire and watching her burn to death, we are reunited with an old friend.
Gary?
On Thursday, you're tasked with gathering cure chemicals, collecting mechanical stilts, sabotaging karaoke. You get the idea.
If you want to be my nuclear reaction, you gotta get with my fission.
Gary then gives you the cure, and you decide to test it.
I can't leave until I'm certain this cure works.
As I was saying, after escaping the midget army and finding some diamonds, you leave the facility and meet a few more familiar faces.
At least I've got a cure to treat Champ's radioactive condition, but I still haven't found him yet. I don't suppose I'll be able to manage that on my own. So I wonder what crazy homicidal faction I'll run into next.
Oh, good lord. Why am I not surprised? You're also introduced to Postal dude. No, not that one. The other one. Yeah, that one. The bad one. He's the voice that you hear in your head across the whole game and tells you to commit these heinous crimes. The head wound that you woke up with all the way back in Apocalypse Weekend caused Postal Dude 3? 3 Dude Postal to be a voice in your head. You're tasked with gathering C4, a blasting cap, and gathering a variety of herb for the new anti-war peace group Al-Qaeda. To get the blasting cap, you must enter the Lucky Ganesh, the store that you bought the guilt milk from in Postal 2's Monday segment. Returning to older and more dystopian versions of previous locations is honestly one of my favorite things about this expansion. The world that the developers created for this game is genuinely awesome. After grabbing the blast cap, I don't even know, man. This series is so mentally draining to talk about. Harvesting the illicit herb was a cakewalk, but collecting the C4 was a completely different story. This one segment took me a whole hour and a half. This one segment took me longer than the entirety of my Postal 1 playthrough from start to finish. That being said, after delivering the materials to Al-Qaeda, they craft what you supposedly need to get Champ back.
There, it is ready. Remember, you must use this explosive device to destroy the seal at the hellhole. It is down this path you will find your lost dog. Farewell, friend, and may you have good fortune in rescuing your royal companion.
Thanks. You know, I suppose I misjudged you Al-Qaeda boys. You guys aren't so bad after all.
Finally, on Friday, you head back to where your old home was and see a gateway to hell. Fitting for all the atrocities you committed in the past 4 games. After adventuring through hell, you finally find Champ? In order to heal Champ, you need to wear down his health bar. Then use the serum that the midgets created for you. After a few rounds, Champ is back to normal.
And yeah, that's it.
Just kidding! What do you think you're doing here?
Another lengthy boss fight with her begins, in the exact opposite way that the Champ fight functioned. The more you drain her health, the bigger she gets, thanks to Mike J's special fluid. After enough damage, the bitch very obviously stumbles into the lava whirlpool and yanks yoinks Champ off the ground. You then find Champ locked in a cage above a pool of lava, then the bitch reveals her true form. Another very lengthy boss fight ensues, and after beating her, Champ is rescued.
You asshole! You spineless worm! You think you've won here? You haven't won anything! You haven't achieved a single thing in your worthless life! You're nothing but a deadbeat! You were a terrible husband, you couldn't hold a job, you couldn't perform in bed, you couldn't even complete a simple list of chores! And worst of all, you never brought me my rocky road!
The 2 Postal dudes make amends, one disappears, and the real Postal dude returns to the real world, which is in absolute chaos once again, similar to the ending of Postal 2. You must run back to where Paradise Lost started, but from where Postal 2 started. It's a cool way of tying everything together in the very last minute. Upon heading across the rail yard, it felt right to leave everything behind, including the serum used to save the day. It felt symbolic, I don't know. The game fades to the final cutscene, and everything in Paradise will be A-okay.
Or maybe not.
Overall, the entire experience of Postal 2 definitely had its ups and downs, but it doesn't mean that I don't love the game as it is. I recommend all 3 games, just be wary when going into Apocalypse Weekend, because it's bad, but it's kind of needed for the whole experience. If you want to experience Postal 2 for what it really is, you have to play it through completely, both DLCs included. I highly recommend it, it's worth the price. We still have a lot more to talk about, don't get me wrong. So let's go ahead and move on. Come on.
I'm going to quickly go over this one, mainly because Postal Redux is a built-from-the-ground-up remaster of Postal 1. A few notable things have been changed, such as the camera angle being changed, the use of 3D models instead of sprites, and the introduction of multiplayer co-op. The main change, as mentioned before, is the removal of the school ending, and replacing it with a cryptic, albeit lore-heavy ending. Instead of the schoolyard, the final level is a church, and the farther back behind the church you go, the slower you end up walking. You'll eventually stumble upon a grave being lowered, with nobody there to mourn the death of presumably Postal Dude. That is, unless you beat the game on hard mode, where a secret version of this ending is unlocked. 2 people, supposedly Postal Dude and the bitch from Postal 2, are watching beside the tomb as it is being lowered. This implies that Postal 1 Dude is the father of Postal 2 Dude, or something along the lines of that.
I'll spare the details for now because I don't really understand the ending myself. Plus, I kind of want to move on. I've already talked about Postal 1 enough in detail, and this is just like a one-to-one recreation of it. If you're really curious about that secret ending lore, go look up YouTube videos on it. There's a bunch of them about this topic, and I highly recommend every single one of them. In my honest opinion, though, as messed up as this sounds, I kind of feel like the school ending was better. It was more impactful. It put a lot of emotion into the scene. From the second he steps onto the school grounds till the second you realize he can't actually hurt any of the kids. It's really powerful and works really well as an ending. Anyway, Postal Redux is probably just as fun as the original, though it's missing some of the original's charm. The multiplayer is fun as hell though, I'm not even gonna lie.
Despite how you think elementary school math may work, Postal 4 is actually the sequel to Postal 2, taking place nearly directly after the events of Paradise Lost. And yeah, Paradise is lost because this game takes place in a brand new location, Edenton, Arizona.
Or for the non-American viewers, hell.
The gameplay attempts to recreate the gameplay flow of Postal 2 pretty poorly, in my opinion. Postal Dude is out of a job and is in need of work. This takes place of the chore system. It looks like I need a sign to promote my services.
Perfect. With this baby, I'll be gainfully employed in no time.
You're then directed to the job agency where you're given your jobs. Obviously. Clean the sewers, catch some stray animals, and perform a routine prison check as a security guard. The game offers new modes of transport as well, in the form of the mobility scooter. It's super janky and, honestly, sort of enjoyable just to mow through the people on it. What's not enjoyable, however, are these jobs. They're boring, tedious, and lengthy as hell. The animal service job is just you running around picking up dogs and cats and bringing them back to a van. The sewer cleaning job took me nearly 45 minutes. And the prison job is your traditional, you trigger an event, chaos breaks loose, you kill several people, you escape unharmed type of job. After being relieved of your duties, you head over to the motel and rest for tonight, then Tuesday starts.
The game feels lifeless. It feels like it doesn't have a sense of humor to build off of. And it's so very obviously and shamelessly trying to build off of what Postal 2 had already established. And it doesn't do a good job of it at all.
I only played through Monday, so you can argue that I haven't played the better parts of the game yet. However, if the game can't engage me within the first day, I don't see how the rest of the days could be any better.
The game is bad at its worst, but only mediocre at its best. Which is made really obvious when you look at the game that was released 2 months later. I just spat everywhere, oh my god. Oh yeah, completely unrelated. You ever heard of Doom?
Because holy shit, Postal Brain Damaged is a Doom clone, and a damn good one at that. Developed by indie studio Hyperstrange, the game is set inside the deranged brain of Postal Dude. The goal is to reach the end of each linear level and complete the main objective, whether it be to find a glowing purple TV, walk through a sewer, or illegally cross the border. On the way to each objective, there are a plethora of enemies to decimate in bloody PS1 style glory. The movement in this game is phenomenal, not to mention the overall mechanics as well. Running around and bee-hopping everywhere feels great. There's a grappling mechanic that allows for more movement options, as well as being used as a homing attack on enemies. The combat, whether long or short ranged, feels absolutely spectacular, and every shot you hit gives you a wave of dopamine. Every level has great mechanics that look all distinctively different from each other. They're all amazing. The enemies I mentioned before all come in different shapes and sizes, and are equally as grotesque and downright offensive at times as the others. Everything in this game is so masterfully crafted. There's even boss fights as well. Against... like the one against... Karen. Oh god.
It really shows the time period that this game came out in.
Okay, boomer.
I won't be going super into detail about this game because I really just want you to go enjoy it for yourself. There's so much that I didn't show because I don't want to spoil anything. This game gets insane, trust me. So go play it. It's on Steam, it's on Switch, I think it's on PlayStation and Xbox, I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but it's a really enjoyable experience and I highly recommend it to anybody who's into shooters. And if you're into shooters, you should probably get that checked out because I'm pretty sure you're dating a felon. Paradise Lost will always be my favorite in the series, but you'll be my number 2, baby. Woo! And that's the last notable release that this game had. So let's talk about 4 more.
Postal Corkscrew Rules is the exception in that I did actually play it. However, the game was exclusive to Russia until Steam users Evil and Mr. Chazan, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, ported it over via the Steam Workshop. I tried playing it, but didn't get very far because I don't speak communist.
Как себя чувствует больной? Как воспоминания, кем был, помнит? Полная амнезия. Не знает даже, как ширинку расстегнуть. Что ж, хорошо. Все очень аккуратно получилось, округло. Только вот силикона пожалели. Дефицит. А так он уже в порядке. Говорить пока не...
Anyways, yeah, I didn't get far in this one. Postal Mobile is exactly what it sounds like, yet simultaneously isn't. It's a top-down shooter that looks like shit, has a lot of lengthy and quite honestly useless dialogue, and the same annoying song is on loop for the entire game. I'm not even joking either. There's no sound effects, no voice lines, only this one rinky-dink-ass song. Postal Babes is a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up for Java phones. It looks interesting, but it's not really my cup of tea. This is also the first game in the series that doesn't star Postal Dude, and it's also the first game in the series that has a playable female character, because all of them are. Like I said before, looks cool, but I'm not really into it. And finally, Postal Royale is a game released on April Fool's 2023 that takes the gameplay from Postal 1 and puts it in a somehow shittier looking game. I've seen people praise this game, but it looks so awful that even though it's free, I won't be playing it.
As of 2024, Postal Royale was the last game released in the Postal series.
The series has some insanely high highs, but simultaneously the lowest lows I have ever seen in a game franchise to date. The series itself is super hit or miss, but the games that are genuinely good outweigh the bad by a large margin.
A total of 12 unique experiences, ranging from good to bad, and just those in between that I don't really bother ranking because I'm keeping that in. That being said though, I think it would be fair for me to give my honest ranking of every game in the series. So after some careful thinking, here is my official Postal series tier list. Fight me.
Woke up like this. On the wrong side of the bed, niggas to the right leg. Mom says it right, but I hail from the city when they say suck my dick. Well, he said it's on sight. Had to remember bitch.